Hey guys, Algebra 1. I realize in normal classes I usually have time in the beginning for homework, and these videos I haven't been doing that. So I just want to go over at least two problems from homework that I saw that might have caused issues. So I'm going to go over let's go over number 31 and 34. So number 31, it already equals 0, so step one's done. Now we're going to take out what's in common between the two. So 18 and 6, and I should say, if you understood the homework 100%, you could skip right to the lesson. So you could fast forward this video. So this is 3, or I'm sorry, the biggest number that goes in both of them is not 3, but 6. And then the number that goes into both variables is just c. So there's only one c in each. So then I divide 6c and I divide 6c. Now 18 divided by 6 is 3. C squared divided by c is 1c. Plus, here, 6c divided by 6c, since they both get reduced completely, so 6 and 6 get reduced, and c gets reduced, they're both 1 times 1. So I just write 1. If you ever have the exact same on top of the bottom of the fraction, it's just 1. So we got to set that equal to 0. Second part, split it, set it, spike it. So 6c, anyone in volleyball, equals 0. 3c plus 1 equals 0. I guess just bump it in volleyball. But minus 1, 3c equals negative 1, divided by 3, c equals negative 1 over 3. Over here, divided by 6, c equals 0. And I hope you see a pattern that any number that's just multiplied by c, or whatever variable, is end up going to be 0 anyway. Now it's going to be on to 34. Okay. Next question. The problem is it doesn't equal 0. So we're going to force it to equal 0. It turns out it doesn't matter which one you subtract over. I'll just subtract the smaller one. So 3h and minus 3h. What's very important to know, h squared and h are different terms. And because they're different terms, you do not combine them. So 6h squared minus 3h equals 0. Because the same thing minus itself is 0. Okay, what's in common? Again, it's a 3 in between, and then h. So divided by 3h here, that's going to leave 2h, minus divided by 3h here. Again, this is an exact copy, so it's going to be 1 equals 0. And it probably is my fault. I don't think I did an example with particularly where it reduces to 1, so I apologize at that publicly. So split, set, and spike, so equal to 0, or hit it to the ground, I don't know what you want to call it. Plus 1, 2h equals 1, divided by 2, h equals a half. Divided by 3, h equals 0. So h equals 0, and h equals a half. So that's really nice, okay? So that's over the homework. Now we're going to start our actual lesson. Okay, so today's lesson is 8.5. So I want to do a little do now. So pause the video, try this out, and check out your answer. I'm going to have the answer down on the video in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. If you didn't get that answer, go back to my old videos and make sure you check that. You definitely want to know the distribution stuff. Technically, it's not relevant in this case, but you're going to see how they're related. All right. So I got x squared plus 8x plus 15 as my answer. Now, that's kind of, how do I say? The last section was all about kind of doing distribution backwards. So like I took out, just like on the homework earlier in this video, I took out a 3h. So I took out a 3h out of, I think it was 2h plus 1 or minus 1. And then if I were to distribute back, I would get back my answer, which is 6, or my original question, minus 3h equals 0. So this distribution gets to your question. So factoring goes backwards, right? So it's reasonable to think I could take something out here. Now let's look at this right here. I want to take something out. I have a big issue though. X squared, 8x, and 15. Well, this has two x's, and, well, this has nothing in common, but this has two x's. There's nothing that all three have in common. So I have this weird situation where I can't factor the same way like this, where I just took out what's in common, because factoring is the backwards, right? But I know I could do it forward. Is there a reasonable reason to think, if I distribute, is there a reasonable reason to think, can I do it backwards? And there is a reasonable reason to think. And I'm going to show you, and it's a kind of interestingly unique step. Now, I want to ask you something. What can you do with 3 and 5, or 5 and 3, I'm sorry, to get to 8? What can you do with 5 and 3 to get to 8? Good job. You could add them. What about 5 and 3 to get to 15? Good job. You can multiply them. So notice 5 and 3 multiplies to 15, and 5 plus 3 equals to 8. Let's just do another one real quick. And x plus which number? 7. So x plus 6, x plus 7. The answer is x squared plus 13x plus 35. Let's see something. 6 plus 7 just adds up to 13. And then 6 times 7 does multiply to 35. So what does that mean? Is that just random that these both exact questions I told you happen? And I'm going to tell you no, that happens every time when you have an x plus something, and you distribute it. So we're going to use these two to get back to this answer here. So first, let's use x squared plus 8x plus 15. Let's first use that. Okay, so we're going to take this equation, which is x squared plus 8x plus 15, and slowly turn it to here, assuming we didn't know the answer. So this one, we know the answer. The next example, I'll give it, we don't know the answer from the beginning. Okay, I'm going to type up the steps in the Google Classroom, so you can look it up and in the description of the video. So the first step is going to figure out what is my B and what is my C. So my B in this case is 8, and my C in this case is 15. Very important, it's not 8x, it's the number in front of x, so just 8, okay? So my B is 8, my C is 15. The second step, what multiplies to C that adds to B? Okay, what multiplies to C that adds to B? Let's pretend you don't know it's going to be 5 and 3. What I'm going to do is make a table of factors of C, in this case 15, and just keep writing factors until I get the right answer. Well, 1 plus 15 is 16, so that's a no. What else is there? 2 doesn't go in there. What about 3 and 5? Well, 3 and 5 goes together, and that's 8. So 3 and 5 goes together, and that's 8. So these two numbers, 3 and 5, I know are going to be part of my answer. The last step is to write your two selected numbers, in this case 3 to 5, as x plus blank, x plus blank. The blanks are going to get filled in with the numbers. So x plus 3 and x plus 5. Wait a second, that matches exactly up here. So that is my answer. So I just factored, this is called factoring, I just factored from here to here. Now let's do an example where we don't know what's happening, or we don't know the final answer. Okay, so this one right here is x squared plus 7x plus 12. So I'm going to follow steps that I typed up in both the YouTube description and in the Google Classroom. So step 1, what is B and what is C? B is 12. B is 7. Oops. C is 12. Now, second step, I want to find what multiplies to C that adds to B. So I'm going to make a little table here with C, or 12, on the top of the table. And then I'm going to start listing things that multiply. Now, very important, you don't have to list everything that multiplies to 12. As soon as you find it, and as soon as you know what it is, that's fine. So I'm just going to go through in order. So 1 and 12. No, that doesn't work. That adds up to 13. What about 2 and 6? Close, but it adds up to 8. So that's not what I want. What about 3? Does 3 go into 12? Yeah, and 4. 3 and 4? That happens to be 7. So 3 and 4 is my answer. And I just want to point out, this is the only part, step 2 is the only part that's actually like a problem. Everything else is just like identify and write down. Because step 3, you just found your numbers. You're literally going to write it down as x plus 3, x plus 4. At that point, you are done. And just to check, let's see if we FOIL it and we'll get back to here. X times x, x squared. X times 4, 4x. 3 times x, 3x. 3 times 4, 12. Combine like terms. X squared plus 7x plus 12. Hey, that is checked off. That matches my original problem. So I know this is my correct factored form. Okay? So I know for a fact that this is my correct factor form. Now we're going to do something a little different. All right, here's our next question. I'll give you 3 seconds to realize what's different. Good job. Notice that this is a negative. Uh-oh, so what does that do? Surprisingly, it changes how we have to find an answer, but doesn't change our steps at all. So we're going to still follow the same steps that are typed up. Step 1, we're going to identify B and C. So B equals 10, and C equals negative 24. Because it's a minus, it's negative 24. Step 2. I'm sorry if the camera's going out of focus. I don't want that to happen. So, okay. So, step 2, we're going to find what multiplies a C and that adds to B. So that's negative 24. 24. So it has to multiply to negative 24. So let's just do a little test. 1 times 24. Oh, that multiplies to a positive 24. Okay. So that multiplies to a positive 24. So that's not good. I don't want that. So then I have to make one of my numbers negative. So negative 1 times 24 equals negative 24. So I have to make one of my numbers negative. Now, if I make 1 negative or 24 negative, they both multiply to negative. The only difference is they add slightly different. Negative 1 plus 24 is going to be a positive 23, while 1 plus negative 24 is a negative 23. So what happens is we're going to subtract the two numbers this time. Because one's negative, one's positive, what effectively happens is subtraction. So we're going to subtract what happens between 24 and negative 1. Or 1 and negative 24. So it becomes 23 or negative 23. We're aiming for a positive 10. So let me pick the next set of numbers. Let's see. 2, negative 2 and 12. And 2 and negative 12. Okay. Well, negative 2 plus 12 is 10. And 2 plus negative 12 is negative 10. All right. 10 is my goal, but it is a positive 10. So out of these two, negative 2 and 12 are my positive 10s. Or they cause a positive 10 when you add it. So part 2 is done, which is negative 2 and 12. So the next part is simply x plus, well, this is negative 2, right? So I'm going to do x minus 2, x plus 12. And I'll let you, if you want to, FOIL it to get back to the right answer. But this is how you find the answer. So even though if C is negative, you just have to understand that the properties, or I should say the products, the things that multiply to it, are going to be negative. And we got one more type of problem, okay? Oh, and I guess before I go on, negative 2 plus 12 equals 10. If the question was this, like hypothetically, if it was this, 10x minus 24, then you would have to choose this one over here, okay? So if it was a negative 10, you would have to choose that bottom one. Okay, so negative or positive in the middle, that doesn't influence what you write down, but it influences which one you choose at the end, okay? So negative 24 is what will tell you, oh, I need 1 and 24. I need 2 and 12. I'll need 3 and 8, let's say. And then 10 will tell you which one of those that you wrote down is correct. And sometimes maybe you write more than me. Maybe you're like, oh man, Mr. Toba, I can't find it. There's definitely going to be one. I'm not going to trick you and put one that's impossible. So with that in mind, we have one more type of problem. All right, last problem of today. Let's look at it carefully. X squared minus 7x plus 6. Let's see. What is weird about this? I'll give you 3, 2, 1. Good job for who got it. There's a negative here. And while this is positive, last question we kind of saw that, oh, if it's negative, then you just pick the one that has the bigger negative. So it would have been 2 and negative 12 in the last question. But this one, it's positive here and is negative here. So what's going to happen? So first, let's just follow our steps. Identify B and C. B and C. B is negative 7, while C is 6. Positive 6. Step 2, the actual question part of this. What multiplies to 6 that adds to negative 7? So let's look carefully. First off, 1 times 6. Wait a second. That adds up to 7. All right, that's pretty good. 1 and 6 adds up to 7. But my goal isn't positive 7. My goal is negative 7. So I'll give you 3 seconds, or pause the video. Think about how can I make a negative add up to a negative while still multiplying to the positive. 3, 2, 1. What you can do, and if anyone got this, I'm actually super proud of you because it's kind of not straightforward, is negative 1 times negative 6. Negative 1 times negative 6. Double negative is a positive, so this is still a positive 6. But negative 1 times negative 6, when you add it, becomes negative 7. So we kind of cheated the system. We used double negatives to still multiply to a positive while adding to a negative. Okay, so we just did our steps, and now we just write our answers. So x minus 1 and x minus 6. We are done. And if you want to distribute the check, that's fine. You'll get the same answer. So I hope these videos are coming helpful. I hope the little homework part, it's helpful. If you want me to continue doing that, just give me a private comment or something saying, Mr. Tobo, I appreciate the homework thing. Can you continue doing that? If not, the next time we'll Zoom probably will be next Monday. We'll probably do either another lesson of this or the next lesson. We'll see from there. Keep active. Take a walk. Try to stop staring at your screen for a second. Just do jumping jacks, run in a circle, do something, okay? Because even me, I'm getting a little restless. All right, have a wonderful day, guys.